There's a new science that's evolved within the last 15 years or so. It's called epigenetics. Epigenetics is the science that says to us that our genetic makeup is not a fixed code. We come into this world as babies with enough of our code enabled to get us started in life in a healthy way. But what changes the code, this is important, is our perceptions of our environment, or there can be physical things in the environment, chemicals, high altitude or high tension power lines, things like that. We all know those have an effect. But the biggest effect is our perception of our world. So when people ask me, is the sun changing our DNA? It's not that the light of the sun is going to kick on some DNA if we go to the beach. But as we just mentioned in the previous question, our relationship to the sun, the magnetic fields of the sun ebb and flow. The magnetic fields of the earth ebb and flow in response to that. And here's where it gets really interesting, Tiffany, is that we are magnetic fields as well. Our hearts are based in magnetic fields. We are polar beings. We have a north and south pole in our bodies. The science, and this isn't speculation, it's not new age wishful thinking, this is science, is now showing us that humans are less aggressive and more willing to cooperate when the magnetic fields of the earth are stronger. So what that says, or conversely, more aggressive, less willing to cooperate when war and social hardship happens, is when the magnetic fields are weaker. So now what we're saying, to answer this question, it's not the light of the sun directly changing the DNA. The magnetic fields of the sun go through cycles, influencing magnetic fields of the earth, the human heart, the human psyche. As we perceive those changes, we become less aggressive or more aggressive, and our feelings are the epigenetic factors that change our own DNA. So are we changing our DNA? We can do it all the time. And there's a multi-part question. Been called junk DNA. We now know Mother Nature didn't give us any junk, not in the cells. It's not junk DNA, it simply is DNA whose function has only recently been recognized. What we used to call the junk DNA is giving instructions to the other DNA in terms of the functions they perform in our bodies. We need that DNA. Scientists for years, when they pull the DNA out of a cell, they've been throwing this stuff out. We don't need this, they're just after what was in the nucleus. But there are other forms of DNA in the cell. It's not junk, it's sending instructions to our cell body. So what we can say is that as the sun goes through these rhythms that are triggering climate change, it is also can trigger genetic change in our body, but the key is it's how we perceive the changes. Whether we feel that we are less aggressive or more aggressive. And I'm emphasizing this because it goes to the point that we are empowered through our perceptions to literally change our biology, to change our physical being to adapt to the world as it changes. We're not victims stuck, fixed, and at the mercy of the environment changing around us. We have the ability to change and adapt so that we can thrive, not just survive, but thrive in that environment. It's a long answer to a short question.
That is, and it goes into Sarah's question too. She says, how can we best prepare for any spontaneous genetic changes caused by solar flare? I would love to address that spot.
Yeah, there's a lot of information on the internet going around about a big solar flare that's going to affect Earth in a lot of different ways. Is it possible? It is possible. Anything is possible. Have we had them in the past? Yes, we have. The 1850s was the last huge solar flare. We didn't have the technology then that we had. We didn't have cell phone towers and power grids the way we have now. What we did have, it destroyed. The telegraph lines that were there acted as a little antenna. When that solar flare happened, it burned everything out. So can it happen? Yes. Is there evidence that we are in for one now? Personally, I know of no scientific evidence to suggest that. Now, I don't know that it can even be predicted, and especially now because the sun has become so very quiet and is influencing the planet the way it is in terms of climate. The cooling suggests that if we are going to have a flare, it's not going to be any time soon.